I'm going to teach you how to swim. Well, it wasn't to be, because when he came close, I panicked. And here I am in beautiful Hawaii, and I don't go in the water. And my daughter has tried, and my son has tried. I overcome it though. When I worked, I told my husband I have to work overtime every day. And I went way out. We lived in Anaheim, California, and there was a little town that had a swim school. I never told anybody. I went to the swim school and I learned how to swim, and I told them, don't come near me, just tell me how to do it. And I did it. And I never told anybody. And my husband just loved swimming. So we joined the swim school. It was a social thing. And it came Father's Day, and my friend said, Goldie, what did you get for your husband for Father's Day? And I said, watch me. And I got on the side of the pool, and I dove in, and came out on the other side, and I said, I've done it! But that was it. And my husband was sitting there. He said, I couldn't teach you, you wouldn't let me do it. I said, no, you always wanted to touch me. And the swim teacher didn't, so I think in emergency I could do it, but no. But anyhow, I don't know what else I can tell you.
Tell the story about coming over. Tell the story about coming over.
Say that again.
Tell the story about coming over. When you guys come
Oh.
back.
Yeah, but that's not my childhood days, and I'm going above then. I'm growing up. My father had a customer who he made suits for. And this man came in uniform. He was a Nazi all of a sudden. I mean, there had to be Nazis there because there was no way out for those people. Even if they were anti-Nazis, there had to be Nazis. But he said to my father, David, it's time. You have to leave. It doesn't look good for you. And that's when my father had this epiphany, you know, all of a sudden, maybe he's right. And he had an uncle living in New York, and he contacted him. In those days, you couldn't just immigrate. You had to have somebody in the States vouch for him.
Sponsor.
Yeah.
Sponsor.
So he contacted his uncle, and he says he would vouch for us. He was an attorney in Los Angeles, in Brooklyn. And a day, no, actually it was 2 days we were packing. Oh, he got the ship's tickets, he got that. And my brother, not my brother, my brother Otto was only 1 year and 12 days older than I was. But he said he had a stomach ache. So we were packing. My father said, take your bike and go to Dr. Ox, he'll take care of you. And he went, and Dr. Ox took him right to the hospital because he had an appendicitis attack just before we were leaving. So we had to make a decision. There were 4 of us and 1 of him. Oh, and they couldn't operate because he was running a high temperature. They had to wait till the temperature went down. So we went without him. We left. And something happened to us at the, there is a town called Aachen, with double A. And that's the, that's where you enter Belgium. We took a the train to Aachen. And in Aachen we all had to get out of the train and got a physical exam. And then they went to the suitcases, and I had, well, first of all, I was a rebel all the way. And I was told not to do what I did. I had 4 books of Heinrich Heine. Heinrich Heine was a German author, but he happened to be Jewish. And the most famous thing he did, he wrote a song about the Lorelei. And I had all 4 books in my suitcase. And my father had made me a skirt with zippers pockets. And I had collected found coins, and that was against the law to take out. So I had all my coins in one pocket, and the books on the bottom of the suitcase. And this man, I can't say he was a Nazi because he wore a uniform, but he wore a uniform. And he started going through my suitcase. And I started shaking. I just realized what I'm doing. I was putting my family at risk. Because I got found coins and I got Jewish books. A Jewish author. By the way, this Heinrich Heine, he was a German author, like I said, and every school had his books, every class had his books, with his name Heinrich Heine. And when Hitler came to power, they still had his books, author unknown. I mean, idiots, you know, I mean, how can you deny that a Jew can write books, you know? Well, anyhow, that's beside the point. But anyhow, this conductor went through my suitcase and he saw me shaking. And he yelled to the conductor, to the train conductor. No, the train conductor yelled to him, "Get these people on the train, we're late." And he closed the suitcase and he looked in the other pocket, in my right pocket, not in my left pocket. Was I lucky? Yes, I was. And he winked at me, like, "I know what you're doing, but I'll let you get away with it." And we got on the train, we got into Belgium, and we were safe. I mean, how close was that? We would never have made it, never. Well, we went through Belgium. Jews have family all over the world. I have family in Belgium. They got out before us, and we stayed with them. Then we went to Holland. My parents had family in Holland. We stayed with them. Then we went to England, and my father had an uncle there, and we stayed with them. And all this time, my parents never heard from my brother. Was he alive or wasn't he? Well, in England, we boarded the ship, and we were 5 days on sea before the captain personally came to my father and said, "Your son is okay." So that my parents hadn't smiled for a long time. They were usually very happy people. What else do you want?
What was the year?
I don't know.
Yeah, what year was it?
Yeah, the year.
What year was
Because
it?
that'll lead you to your next thing. You got to
Oh,
America.
that was 1938.
Perfect. So tell the story about when you came to America. What
Okay.
happened with that?
Oh, that's another story. Okay. My father had a sister living in Los Angeles. He hadn't seen a sister for about 8 years, I think. We came. My father couldn't find his sister. She wasn't at the pier to meet us. And everybody says, oh, Sarah went on vacation. And he couldn't believe that. Later on, he found out, only a day or two later, a cousin said Sarah died while we were crossing the ocean. So my father had to sit shiva. My brother was in a hospital in Germany. My American family rented us a furnished apartment, and I was unpacking a suitcase, and I got an appendicitis attack. That's my second day in this country. And they, oh, this is funny. Something is funny in there. Here we are in this apartment building, and my mother couldn't speak English, I couldn't speak English, nobody spoke English. So, what do? First of all, knowing me, she thought, you're playing a game, go unpack the suitcase and iron the clothes and stop fooling around, you know. But I was rolling on the floor, I was in pain. So she had a neighbor upstairs, and the neighbor came down and gave her a nickel. And she said, oh, and every apartment building had a payphone on the wall. And she says, put that nickel in and call the police. And, well, she let them know that her daughter needs help. That was me. But she said, the nickel will come back, don't worry about it. A nickel was a lot of money. You took a trolley for a nickel. And before you spent a nickel, you walked the road. But anyhow, this doctor came, the ambulance came with a doctor, and he spoke a little German because, first of all, he was Jewish, and second, he studied in Bonn, Germany, so he knew a little German. And he took me to the hospital, and in the hospital, all the nurses were black. And I have only seen one black person all my life. We had in Köln, we had a college, university. And I met one black man who asked me for instructions to go, where do I find the telephone? No, the post office. He wanted to go to the post office. And I got so scared looking at him, he was really black, that I jumped on my bike, which needed a new tire because it had a flat, and I ran like hell to get home. I thought he was going to eat me alive. Because we didn't have any black people. Either you were white and Aryan or you were Jewish and nothing. So, okay. So I'm trying to tell you for those of you who don't know what Shiva is, when you have a close relative, parents, children, close relative, and they die, you sit 8 days, 8 days in mourning. You don't go to work. You're really in mourning for 8 days. So my father was home sitting shiva. My brother was in a hospital in Germany. I was in a hospital in the Bronx, New York. My younger brother, who was 10 at that time, refused to go to school because nobody understood him. And lo and behold, he became a physicist. And he worked with Dr. von Braun on the moonshot. He was this white man. So so you can never tell when you have a stupid brother. Because I was in charge of him. See, I was 6 years old when he was born, and my mother said, take him for a walk, you know, take the carriage and go around the block. And there was always some kids that were pushing me. And he fell out of the carriage, and he hit his head on the sidewalk. And forever I told him, you were born stupid, but I straightened out your brains. And when he made his doctorate, he said, I thank it to my sister. So we got to have it. It wasn't all sad. But, this is not for little kids, really. So, and my mother, the sickly one, took care of all of us. I mean, she had to, because my father wasn't going to leave the house, and my brother was in his room all the time, and the other brother wasn't there, and I was in the hospital, so she... And to this day, I don't know how she got to the hospital to visit me. I don't know how she didn't. She didn't know a word of it. Yeah, she knew yes and no, you know, please and thank you, like I did. And every time I spoke to somebody thinking, oh, I know this, what I'm saying. And German, when you see, German doesn't have a TH. So when you want to say this, you say dis. It becomes a hard T. So for hours I stood in front of a mirror and would say, the. So my mother said, stop it already. But I can say that now. It's been a long time. But you know, anybody who moves to a different country, well, that's what happened to me. I thought in German, translated into English. But of course later on, I thought in English and translated in German if someone wanted to discuss anything with me. I still read, write, and speak it, but I don't have anyone to speak it with. All my friends are gone. So I'm sorry to say that I've never gone to school here. The German government allowed you to take 5 marks out of the country per person. 5 marks was less than $5. How can you consist on it? So we all had to go to work, except my mother. She wasn't able to. And my brother, of course, my older brother Otto came over in October. He came over 1 week before Kristallnacht, when everything went haywire. And once Hitler marched into Poland in 1939, they didn't take our passports, but became people without a country, because Poland was now Germany. So we had to go. We left just in time, one month before, just in time. So that's why I'm calling myself a very, very lucky person, and my family too. Yes.
When you went through that park and the German kids were around you and all, and you actually got home, did your parents like scold you for doing that? What did they teach you when you were a kid?
They never found out, no.
But when you were a child, what did your parents teach you about what was going on around you? Like when the guy, your neighbor, was taken out of the house and never returned again, did they try to explain to you, or didn't they know what was going on?
They didn't know what was going on. They knew just as much as I knew. And by that time I was 12, 13, I knew what was going on. They didn't bother my parents as much as they bothered children. School children, going to school, following them, haunting them, taunting them.
Did they teach you, like, stay away from them, try not to go near them, or?
Oh, do you think I would go near them?
Well, I know,
You're
I know
dreaming.
you learn, I
No.
just, yeah.
If I see them across the street, I go this way,
Yeah.
you know. No, go way out of your way. Only, like I said, I took chances going through the park to get to the synagogue. I should never have done that. You know, I could have saved myself a lot of problems. But I had two enemies, my choir director and the Nazi boys. Well, he was doing what he was taught to do, punctuality. Did you want to say something?
Were you ever in the Holocaust?
What does he say?
Were you ever, like, in a concentration camp?
No, I never was
She
in
made
a
it up
concentration camp.
Why don't you tell the story of your friend after
That's
you
why
come
she's
home?
lucky.
I went to concentration camp after I spent time in the United States. I went back to Auschwitz, and I went to Yad Vashem in Israel. And that was enough for me. What were you saying?
I want you to tell the story about when you were in America with your friend in the movie theater.
Oh. Yeah, but that's not my childhood. I was married. No, I wasn't married.
Right.
Okay. I had
Oh, wait, we have a question.
Oh yeah. After coming to America, how did it affect how you related to your Jewish identity? Did you feel like you wanted to honor your Judaism because it is something that was important to you in your childhood, or is it something that maybe you disassociated from because it caused so much trauma in your life?
I didn't hear it.
She wants to know how, after you came over to America, how your Judaism affected you. Did you disassociate with it, or did it make you more Jewish?
Oh
or was
no,
it
that
something
made me
else?
stronger. I was fighting everybody, you know.
She still does.
I belong to the Kona Seniors, and I'm the token Jew, and we have 100 members. I mean, that tells you something, right? And oh yeah, I think they're glad I haven't been there for a long time because I was just telling my friends there when they had. When we had a luncheon or something and somebody gets up and gives the invocation, and at the end of it they would say, in Jesus Christ's name, amen. Well, I took umbrage to that, and I let them know I didn't think that was right, because we had people that were Buddhists from all over the world, a conglomeration of people who are members, you know. And I had a friend who was the president of Kona Seniors, and I had invited her to play mahjong with us. Oh yeah, I'm talking about mahjong. I got to tell you something. When I came here, I lived over 50 years in California, and I played about 2 or 3 times a week. I had games, you know. And when I came to Kona, I thought, oh, I'm sure I'm going to get a game. But who do you contact? There's no such thing as a mahjong league here. So I picked out Jewish names in a telephone book. I told Nella, she's lucky I didn't call her. Her name is Silverman. But I called Goldstein, anybody that had a Jewish name, you know. But some of them were not very nice. Some were nice and says, no, we don't need anybody. And some said, no, we're all filled up, sorry, and hung up, you know. So, but anyhow, I put an ad in the newspaper under personal. I put in mahjong players wanted, American style only, and willing to teach. And lo and behold, I got 2 lovely ladies And I taught them, they didn't even know what it looks like, and they thought it was a card game. So that's how I started. Every Thursday at 1 o'clock in my house we got mahjong. And I got 2 more ladies, and tomorrow I'm having 3 tables.
Wow.
So, and I'm still the token Judy. Besides my daughter, I taught her how to play. I beg